Star Trek made our dream for a world without communication limits. Back to the Future hologram in augmented reality. And the Knight Rider, the dream of a self-driving cars. Now that future become our present. And then, can we design an idea for a better future to create a better products today? In this episode we talk about design from and for the future with Phnam and Mardis Bagley from Nonfiction and Design Studio in San Francisco.
3, 2, 1, live. Hello everyone, this is Mirko, host from Alia Stories, and today I'm happy to talk about design for the future and to welcome two guests, Phnam and Mardis Bagley. Welcome guys.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi
Good
there.
to see you.
Thank you for joining us and share your perspective, really appreciate. Where you are based?
We are based in San Francisco, California, where it's very quiet right now. San Francisco is well known for designs of many kind, industrial design. Many studios have the headquarters here. So that is really the main reason why we're here today.
But you are from the California. Where do you come from originally?
Well, I'm from Illinois in the United States, born and raised, traveled around a lot, and now live and work in San Francisco.
I'm from France, originally from Paris, moved to the US in 2005 via Denmark. Lived in New York State, lived in Texas, Southern California, and Northern California.
It's a long journey, fantastic. And you both, you are the co-founder of Nonfiction Design Studio in San Francisco. And Nonfiction, it's, if I understood correctly, is focused to turn science fiction into reality for a better future. How did you arrive here, and what was planned and what wasn't? Because I believe a lot of things change on the way.
Always.
Yeah, so when it comes to science fiction, in my particular background, that's something I've always been fascinated with. So my first career was designing spacecraft. I have a degree in aerospace architecture, and really looking to the future, far in the future, and thinking about how humans behave and what's kind of needs they have and what kind of world they want to live in has always been on top of my priorities in design. And slowly we got to work with companies that are developing technologies that completely sound like science fiction, right? Alleviating terrible diseases using lights or electricity as medicine is something we have access to today. And we want to be at the forefront of how to design these products so it actually touches more people.
Yeah, as Phnam said, it's not just about like working with large companies with cutting edge R&D departments, but here in Silicon Valley, we're exposed to a lot of really, really unique new models of how to do futuristic technologies. And we set ourselves apart by working really well with engineers and scientists and more of a collaborative exchange. And through that, we've sort of identified companies that like to develop future technologies, and it works really well with how we see the future.
Yeah, and the way we go about work is very much linked to the way we call that company, which is nonfiction. You can talk about science fiction in this, utopian and dystopian way of seeing the future, or you can actually build the foundation of what it is to create products that people use, right? The reality behind science fiction is what interests us the most. Developing, engineering, building, prototyping the products that have never existed before is really what we love to do.
It's sort of the source of our name, Nonfiction, creating real products. This is very important for us. We don't want to get stuck in the world of conceptual design. We want that be part of our process, but the evolution of our design process is a physical artifact or experience at the very end.
Sounds very exciting. I mean, sound like you are really try to play and become the real bridge between the beautiful idea. I'm pretty sure everyone agrees it's fantastic, but as you say, turn something beautiful as an idea in a tangible product. I believe it's not an easy process to do.
Yeah.
Essentially, if I understood what you do, you try to bring a piece of this kind of possible future into the reality, and some other case actually try to design those possible future. But you are not a clairvoyant, no, you are still a designer in a sense. What is the connection for you between design and the future? Why you do this kind of work and know someone else with a different kind of expertise?
There are surprisingly few careers in the world that push the future, right? It's a lot about doing things the same way they've been done, or slowly changing things over time as technology, updates. As designers, we are given the tools and the thinking behind how do we think of the future and what kind of form does it have? How do people use the products that we design, and how is it going to change their lives, right? Or what kind of impact do the products that we design have on the future of planet Earth? So all of these big questions is really what connects the future with design. We're trained in school to think beyond what exists already. Hopefully you don't get to work with designers who are only interested in doing the same old stuff. And really thinking outside the box is something we're trained, since day one, and that's the exciting part about it. The difficult part about that aspect, however, is when you talk with technical people or business people who want to be visionaries but are afraid of being visionaries because they don't know how to execute. They want proof of concept, or they have the expectation of 10x, which is something that's very common in software. So it is our job as designers not only to create the future, but also to convince people who want to build that future that it's possible.
So we really try to seize the opportunity that creating products and experiences presents. We don't want to just evolve a product or a category. We really want to revolutionize it. And this is really important. We see a huge opportunity, and our daily environment right now through the pandemic has really stopped and made us start to think about what we're doing with our life and how we're, adapting to things. And this is really important when you're developing hardware products that may live on for years and years and years and affect us and, our planet Earth for decades and eons beyond.
No, I totally agree with you, especially, I agree we are in a very unique moment of the human history, but also not just for the pandemic we are facing. I see more the pandemic as a factor to accelerate this change we already have been. And also because, as you say, you have to deal with engineers and many other things. I feel like, in a world where there is no longer distinction between what is digital and physical and virtual and reality at this point, product become kind of result of complex ecosystem, as you say, hardware, software, data, and services. How, over the time, does this increase the complexity of your work? How you deal with all this kind of different perspective and a point of view?
Being curious and being open-minded is extremely important in order to stay a designer. So a lot of people get into the career of design, junior, mid-level, senior, and at some point they become a manager, or they start their own company and they stop designing. They start managing, or they start doing business development, and they may or may not be good at that. We at Nonfiction have imposed on ourselves the fact that we love design, we love designing, and we are continuing to design every day, even as business owners. And it's very important to us to be exposed to what everybody has to say. Do you have the latest technology in VR? We want to know about it. Do you have the latest technology in neuroscience? We want to know about it. And all that information that we are collecting by communicating, by collaborating, by building things together is what is creating a very rich foundation for the way we design anything, right? Whether we're designing a product that is contained in a shell, or we're designing a system, like an educational system or an airline, right? Everything is about experience, as everything is about the way you feel, and why a company should spend the time, money, and effort to develop the technology to get there. And really, that open-mindedness is what has kept us happy at work. We love our job. Every day is a wonderful day, and we want to keep it that way.
So I think designers naturally are sort of, I guess, a jack of all trades, as the term goes. We can do many different things, and in this, it allows us to connect certain dots and put them together and really build upon these complex systems, right? Bringing in full stack developers, bringing in hardware people, software people, experienced VR, and all those things Phnam listed, and do it in a very comfortable way is kind of second nature to us. And this is really what, I don't see the complexity so much as a constraint, as much as I see it as a unique opportunity. And it's how you approach these opportunities and aligning yourself with people that can help you bring this sort of vision to life.
Do you think also, I totally agree with you in terms of see the designer as the bridge to connecting these kind of dots. But do you feel in this moment, and this is create also some ambiguity sometimes in what actually the design itself can do, just because it is so multidisciplinary in some way? Or, do you see this ambiguity as an opportunity rather than actually a problem?
It is an opportunity. However, the world as a whole still has a problem defining what design is, right? Many times we get approached by potential clients who just expect us to make something pretty, to skin it, right? And don't get me wrong, that's very important. Skinning a product in the correct way is actually very difficult, takes some time and all that, but it's a very small portion of what's happening, right? We have to understand the market, who they're selling to, how much it costs, how many parts are involved, how you engineer these parts, and where they come from. So design is a lot more than what people think it is. And as much as we're designing, we are educating people around us in what design actually means. Because I don't know where it comes from, but there's a lot of confusion about art and design.
Yeah.
A lot of people think we're artists. There's, I guess, art in some aspects of what we do. There's the aesthetics of it, there's the harmony of it, there's the thinking behind it, but there's also the practicality of it. There's the collaborative aspect of it. There's the injection of technology and systems that is very complex, and that complexity is one of the things that I believe good designers are exceptional at. Very few people on the planet are actually good at taking many disciplines and connecting them together in a way that makes sense, right?
Actually, you just make you thinking, because you say something very interesting about sometimes a lot of people thinking about design only in terms of fancy shape, something pretty, or something can just improve maybe the efficiency and nothing more. Do you think probably now is the time to start educating people about the real value of design and value the design solution, not only in terms of this kind of aesthetical or efficiency things, but more like in terms of value they provide to the end user, to the people? Like I was talking today for a completely different kind of context about how much now in the market people are evaluating solution for the well-being, for the happiness. Something thinking about also when we design a product, okay, what kind of happiness this product can provide in the life of the people and the people live around the person himself. What do you think?
There's a field, a subset of technology called transformational technologies. It's been around for a while. It's basically all technology that is there for human well-being, planet health, well-being, flourishing, all that stuff. And some of these products are medical. Some of these products is more about meditation and all that. And talking with Nicole Bradford, who's a co-founder of TransTech conference, which happens in Palo Alto every November. Basically, she believes that transformational technology is what technology is going to be in the future. That's what we're going to call technology. Technology is not just there to serve, robots. It's here to serve humans. It's here to serve smart cities. It's here to serve every aspect of our well-being, however we define that.
And I think for me, it's really about looking at stakeholders. And when you talk about value, you talk about value to the end consumer, end user. But I think there's also value to the brand who's developing an idea or a concept. There's also, certainly nowadays, we have regulatory bodies, and lots of people are involved in all different aspects. So looking at this stakeholder map and saying, how can we bring value to each person, and what does value mean to each person? We certainly focus on the end goal, but then I like to look even long past that. We look into our life cycle analysis, where the product came from, where does it end up? And ultimately, it's not the end user that ends up in a person's hand, it's planet Earth's hands. Mm-hmm. So eventually you take a petroleum product, go to manufacturing plastic, and then ends back up into the planet. So ultimately, the stakeholder is a planet too. So I think it's about being conscious mm-hmm. of the effects that all these decisions we make have upon all the stakeholders, including the planet in the end.
Totally. Sounds like the empathy is not limited only to the end user, but really the empathy is about all the people and the human are around the business itself, build around the product and the solution what you're working on. And I'm pretty sure your work has become very valuable, challenging, but very valuable at the same time. But talking about the value, actually, that's the most interesting part, because actually I reached you because I saw one of your video on YouTube, because now you have a channel with a series called Future. Mm-hmm. And the last one is dedicated to the future of the education. And also you have a one for the future of the airlines. What is it, this work? And actually I'm going to play a little piece right now. I want to know exactly what is it and what is the opportunity you saw in it?
So when we think of the future of some industries, and especially industries where a lot of people are very unhappy, whether they're running it or they have to use it, like children have to go to school. We, as designers, we see a lot of opportunities that are low-hanging fruit, right? If you change a couple of things like, unstructured play, like you're seeing here, that can actually change the way a child grows up and, develop their emotional intelligence and then become a more, stable adult. Like very, very, very small things like this can happen, but we can go much deeper. We can go into integrating technologies that can actually fundamentally change, how a human grows, right? Because schools today are very much treated like a place where you drop your kids for like how many hours of the day, and then you pick them up, and there's no real relation between the child and the community of the city, or what's happening with consumption or work life. And we believe that children are these wonderful little humans who have so much potential, and we should tap into that, and we should actually expose them to many more things than what they are exposed to today. And COVID is actually a wonderful opportunity for education to radically revolutionize itself, because not only is it about being there in front of a teacher, but also connecting with others and having activities that require a different way of thinking, or creating connections in a way that actually works for you. Because we all remember, especially designers, remember being in school and not being particularly interested in many subjects. That's because there's a level of neurodiversity in people, right? Some people love math, some people love art, some people love talking, some people like to be alone. So using technology, using good design, good architecture, integrating nature in a smart way can actually help really support the foundation of every future adult.
And I'm glad you mentioned neurodiversity, because it's really interesting. Everybody has a different perspective, a different learning, and we are now at this point in history where we can gather metrics of each and every individual through sensors and through devices and computer vision and AI, track this, and then cater an educational experience or any type of experience specific to that one person. There is that idea of like, okay, how does privacy play the role into this, right? Where are our boundaries? And I think we're still exploring that, but the opportunity is definitely there. As with education and the other project you mentioned, which is airlines, these are deeply ingrained industries that are dying to change but cannot change. They've been beaten down by year after year of economic constraints. They've been beaten down by sort of the constraints of society, and it really needs to be upended. We need to stop thinking about education as how can we do it cheaper? How can we do flight cheaper? We need to look at it through the lens of well, wow, we spend so much on military. Can we shift that money to the people we're educating? Because honestly, educating young children is also a national security issue.
Totally. And actually, I like in particular these two examples of your work because they come back to the things you say before about how design have a specific role in the transformation of the people in some way, in the life and the experience of the people. You will see in the school and the work you did and visioning what can be the future about this, the education environments and how you can transform this kind of experience, the learning experience for the kids, and the same things for the airline. Really, really nice. Okay, we are almost done with our time, but I have a last one question for you. It's a question I always give to everyone, the guest, because it's something passionate about me. I want to know, what is it innovation for you? And where actually you are going to find it when you're looking for something?
So to us at Nonfiction, innovation is doing something for the very first time. When you have technologies that may have been around for a while but have not been exposed to the correct user or the correct way of formulating the physicality of it, that's when we come in, right? There are so many great inventions out there or discoveries in science, and nobody, very few people know how to turn that into products that actually changes people's lives. And that's what innovation is taking all that wonderful knowledge and turning into something tangible.
I'd say innovation, we use a ton of different methodologies here, and each project's different. But one of them is throwing research right out the window. And the idea is that we will pursue an idea among ourselves based on intuition, experience, and logic. And we'll drive down this creative pathway, explore different ideas, knowing that we don't know everything. And the beautiful part about that is we're unbiased. We're not oppressed by current thinking as much as if we were researching. The secret, though, is as we have this creative pathway going down here, we have a second pathway of researchers and technologists really digging in deep. And only at some point do we merge the two, exchange ideas, and kind of recalibrate. But it's very important to pursue this this opportunity to innovate with unbiased focus.
Yeah.
Can I synthesize and say you both are looking for innovation in that tiny space between the things you know, the things you believe, and you're looking for the first date with something you never met.
Right.
Yeah,
so.
and I think that has a lot to do with the way we build our company as well. The people who work with us they all have amazing backgrounds. They come from many different countries and they have very different lifestyles before they came here. And that richness is exactly what we're looking for in designers, right? We don't care where they went to school. We don't care how many awards they got. What we care about is, are they capable of telling a story that I've never heard before? And are they capable of taking that story and merging it with the work we need to do and making it so unique that it's, it feels like innovation.
Great. Okay, we are almost done with the time. And before closing this episode, I want to remind everyone is watching or listening right now to subscribe to Alia Stories. And if you want to know more about nonfiction design, you can find all the link and information in the description here below. Phnam, Mardis, thank you very much for your time today. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Absolutely. It was wonderful speaking with you.
Our pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.